What's good, everybody? So these are my top 5 Leeds footballers ever. They're not necessarily the best players we've ever had or the most successful players we've had or anything like that, whatever. They're just my personal favourites. So and whack it in the comments if you agree with any of them or you loved them or whatever or your favourites. There's be a few at the end, there's a few honourable mentions, and then I'll mention a few that I loved at the time, but then it all turned a bit sour, and I decided not to like, or not decided not to like. I had no choice but to not like them at the time. So number 5 is Woodgate. I absolutely loved Woodgate. I thought he was amazing, and I thought he was absolutely world class. I thought he was really unlucky with injuries and that, but I just loved him as a player. I loved how he came out with ball. I loved him in a tackle. Just everything about him. He'd solve so many problems now, Woodgate. Even I think we'll be all right at centre back under Bielsa. I think he'll sort it. But yeah, I just thought he was world class. And to be honest, when he left, when we sold him, that's when I knew it's going tits up. I knew it was going to end sour when he left. Then obviously it was like the final straw in my mind, I think, where I was like, oh no, we are going to be bad now. It's going to go, club's going to collapse, and it sort of did, didn't it, after that? So 4th is, it was a little bit before my time, really, but I've watched tons of videos of like that era, and it's Yeboah, because I think Yeboah will be in most people's top 5, really, just for his unbelievable goals and the Yorkshire Puddings story and stuff. Yeah, I just loved him. And them goals off at crossbar, just outrageous, weren't they? And I love a good striker, like everybody does. It's whoever's getting the goals is always going to be quite high up in it. Number 3 is Oliver Decor. I absolutely loved him. And when I was doing this, I was sort of flicking through, writing some players down and stuff. And I was certain that he got sent off in his debut, absolutely adamant, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I texted my brother and said, I'm certain Decor got sent off. And he was like, he didn't. And I said, yes, he did. And he did. So it was in a game against some Munich side or something, 1840 Munich or something, in Champions League like qualifiers. And that was his debut. He got booked twice and then he got sent off. Now, it sticks in my mind really vividly that I just remember him walking off and then David OLeary's face. I just remembered it. I really remembered it. And lo and behold, he did. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, but he was just made like a general in centre midfield one. He just like a beast, big in a tackle, got forward, grabbed a goal. Yeah. Or didn't grab a goal, actually. I just said that off the top of my head. I think he scored like 3 goals for us or something. He never scored. But I remember an awesome free kick that didn't take a deflection, don't care what anybody says, against Arsenal. That manager in goal, who were dogger, wasn't he, really? But yeah, that's when Arsenal were good as well. We were sort of like trying to compete for that level as well, like trying to get up towards, the best teams in the league. We sort of hung in and around there for a bit, but that's when we started signing Decor and other players that I won't mention because they're coming up. That's when we were really trying to push on to that next level, weren't we? And we looked like we had a mint side. Yeah, so that's Decor. Number 2 is Viduka. Viduka got quite a lot of shit. He was sitting family stand, and he used to get quite a lot of shit from people behind me, these 2 lads behind me. And he used to do my head in, saying that he was lazy and stuff. And I never thought he was lazy. And like some people, I think in football get like a bad rep because their demeanour's a little bit moody, or he was a big fella, wasn't he, Viduka? And I felt like he got not mistreated, because I think most Leeds fans absolutely loved him, but I thought he was unbelievable for us. He held everything up. His touch was amazing. His turn, obviously, them 4 goals against Liverpool was just like, I remember that game. Me, my dad, my brother, my best mate, that were all there. Like we're all sat in different places. My best mate were with his dad. My brother were with his mate, and I was sat with my dad. And it were like everybody, I was like getting texts off my mate, like saying this is mental. Like that game was absolutely unreal. I'll never forget that game. All Viduka's shirt name were coming off his back and that, because Smith were jumping all over him and stuff. Yeah, just amazing. wacky favourite Viduka memory in the comments, and if it ain't the Liverpool game, then fair enough. That header, bullet header, some of them goals, that'd have been offside, I suppose, with VAR nowadays, but that is what it is. Yeah, so that's Viduka. And then number 1 is Lee Bowyer. Lee Bowyer is easily my favourite footballer ever. And my favourite number is 11, based on the fact that I love Lee Bowyer. I've got an album called 11 that is based on the fact that I love Lee Bowyer. It's just everything about him I loved. I loved his energy and his engine, how mint he was on ball, how aggressive he was, his big in tackle, like some goals he got shitloads of goals. I might be wrong here, but I'm almost certain that in that Champions League year, I can't remember how many goals he got, but I know he would have been the top goal scorer in the Champions League had Raul not got... I can't remember if he was joint top. He can't have been joint because he'd have still got the golden boot, I think. But Raul beat him by a goal. I'm pretty sure that is the case. And it was... Does anybody remember the handball against Leeds when he jumped up and punched it in? It was like a hand of God version. He handballed it in, did Raul, against Leeds. And that... I mean, obviously, then the other goals are the ones that beat him as well. But for a midfielder at Leeds... were never, I know we got to semi-finals, we were amazing that year, but never seen to get anywhere near Champions League. That's a pretty immense thing to be one goal behind Raul in the hardest competition in world really. I think it's harder than fucking country football, to be honest. The club level is unbelievable now, and it definitely was there. So yeah, so that's my top 5. So it's Woodgate in 5th. I'd seen a thing with Martin as well, Nigel Martin. It was an honourable mention. Love Nigel Martin. He said about Woodgate being like as good as Rio Ferdinand, like football wise, just like immense. Thought it were amazing. I'll try to find that clip.
Would have been at certain times at the club. Certainly when he was at Leeds, very good player. He was the equal of Rio when they were at Leeds. They were both great defenders.
Yeboah 4th, just for his goals, is a beast. Decor 3rd, Viduka 2nd, Lee Bowyer 1st. Yeah, that's my top 5. My honourable mentions, I've had to write these down. There's a lot, but I've got to name them all because these are all my honourable mentions. Batty, Bridges, Kuehl, Matteo, Martin, I've already said. Speed, Dorigo, Eddie Gray, Alfinger Haaland, Molinar, Wallace, Strachan, Paul Robinson. They're my honourable mentions. Danny Mills, Gary Kelly, and I could go on. I could just name them all, to be fair. Obviously Radaby, but I loved Radaby, but never like I loved a lot of them, to be fair. I loved Radaby. I'm not even going to say that. I loved Matteo. Yeah. Future players that I reckon could get into my top 5 is Poveda, because he's my dude. Phillips, Rafinha, if he's good, he'll end up, because I love a good foreigner, me. Bamford, Ayling, I reckon they could all break in. And then players that I loved at the time, but hated it when they left, is Ferdinand. Loved him when he came, and he was amazing, wasn't he? And he looked like a Leeds supporter every time we scored, and then he went to scum, and you realised that he was just celebrating like that for any fucking goal that went in. So, he duped me a bit, but it is what it is. I don't even mind so much now, because you got to get over it, haven't you? Like, he did best thing for his career, didn't he? We tend to shit. And Smith, I loved Smith, but that bothered me that at the time. But I'm more than well over this, by the way. I'm not still stewing over this. And then Hasselbank. Hasselbank could have been in my top 5, and he probably still should be. And I actually saw an interview of him saying that David O'Leary didn't actually want him. And I don't know how true that is, but he said he didn't feel like he were really in David O'Leary's plans, which is crazy, really, when you imagine how mint he was.
I don't know. You would have to ask him the way that things went. I was playing, don't get me wrong, and I did well, but I think he didn't see me in his long-term future at the club. We were in contract talks, and it was not like he did his best to keep me. The things that went around it when I left, I think he could have prevented all those things, but it wasn't. So I left with a bitter taste in my mouth.
That was the summer of '99. Atletico Madrid come calling.
Yeah.
Just from what you've said, did it become an easier decision because of your relationship with him to leave Leeds United?
Yeah, it did. I definitely think that if Josh Graham would have stayed, that he would have never let me go. But David O'Leary had different plans, you know, and
he'd have easily been in my top 5. But I fell out of love with him because I felt like it would turn sour when he left. But yeah, give us a comment. Anybody that you think. Somebody that I've got to mention is my favourite ever signing that never really happened, but as a signing, I'm only going to pick one here. I could pick a few, but is Fowler. Because when Fowler signed, I used to love Fowler, even when he were at Liverpool, like on the sly. Used to love him, even though he played for Liverpool. But yeah, and I hoped when he signed, I thought that is amazing. I loved him. I was like, he's a Leeds player. This is crazy. And I remember that hat-trick that he got when I can't actually remember who that were against, but he missed a penalty as well, and then still got his hat-trick, so he should have had 4 that day. But I remember the penalty. Bowyer goes over to give the ball to Fowler, and he just slams it on penalty spot and go get your hat-trick type of thing. That'll Bowyer all over on it, some of his celebrations and that. Bowyer. He's the man. So yeah, hit me up with some shit. Tell me if you disagree with me. They're just my favourite players, like I say. It's not necessarily the best players or whatever. But yeah, man, going to do a video next week about Phillips. Some options that I reckon we've got, because we're going to need to sort of sort it. Not that I'm the one that's going to sort it. God's going to sort it. But yeah, cheers for everybody that's subscribed so far, and cheers for comments and that. Much appreciated. Peace. Leeds.